Hello, everyone, and welcome to chapter 167 of The Last Thoughts of a Busy Mind, this one titled The Chaotic World of Today's Entertainment. That's not a misspelling if you're reading it. Some of you probably already know what I'm going to talk about because of that misspelling, but for those of you who don't know, you'll know pretty shortly. First of all, my drink today is again cranberry syrup and water, so better ratio this time. It's not as overtly sweet as last time, so yeah. So the way I see it, this episode could have gone two ways. Either me again talking in length about a lot of mental problems, which this week had a ton more, or whine about the fact that I'm closer to the end of October without being any closer to the end of the video. And, I could have done all of that. Maybe I should have, but instead, I didn't want to bog down another video talking about my depression or my depressive thought or my intrusive thought or my self-hatred or all of that. Instead, I want to make all of us depressed. But before we get that, let's lift all of ourselves up. You know what I mean. We're talking about the fact that I was a guest on a podcast called Natey and Cathy at the Movies. And I was a guest on the most recent episode, which came out October 15th. You can listen to it. The episode is called Behind the Scenes of Hollywood's Enduring Classic, where we talk about Singing in the Rain, one of my favorite musicals of all time. And there will be a link to it in the description where you can go and listen to it, which I suggest you do. It's also 20 minutes, so if you're a regular listener to The Last Thoughts of a Busy Mind, that time should be enough for you. But the reason I wanted to name the episode The Chaotic World of Today's Entertainment with the misspelling is KAOS. I think I need to explain. Okay, KAOS, KAOS, is a TV show. Well, was a TV show. It was debuted or released by Netflix in their usual content meal machine style in August of 2024. However, I didn't even know it existed. There was no advertising, certainly. There was no word of mouth, nothing, until October of 2024, where it was announced that it was cancelled. I saw the cancellation announcement and felt to myself, oh, what is that show? Then I looked into it, and I was so mad because that show seems like it was made for me. Genuinely. I'm serious. That show... Okay, I have seen it. Sorry about the interruption. I ordered some stuff, so sorry about that. It just arrived. Anyways, as I was saying, I got mad because this seemed like the perfect TV show for me. It starred Jeff Goldblum, which I loved, as Zeus. It had Poseidon, my favorite Greek mythology. It was supposed to be a parody, satire, and general commentary on Greek mythology and the modern world. And I've seen the show since that announcement, so I can tell you that I fucking love it. And the fact that I just heard from the cancellation news really got me angry. In a way that I don't know who my anger was at, Was it at Netflix? I mean, surely some of it is directed at Netflix because their business model of just dumping stuff on a big streaming service filled to the brim with shows makes it, impossible to, well, honestly, know which are shit and which aren't. And so I'm mad at them for their terrible business model. I'm mad at, I guess, the fandom for not doing a better job of exploiting the popularity of the show. I don't know, just telling us about it. And then I realized I'm generally mad right now at the today's entertainment world. Here's the thing. And, okay, let me tell it this way. We are not living in a world where everyone is watching the same thing anymore. You know, there was a time when a show would have been watched by the majority of the world, which is usually the shows that right now trying to get back, or shows that you do have a lot of nostalgic namesake to them. You know, Frasier, Cheers, Friends, Golden Girls, and shows like that, you know, where everyone seemed to be watching them. So there is that. We are no longer living in that world. Nowadays, we live in a world where every piece of media needs to fight for its survival. A few months ago, I saw the movie Pig, from the movie that Nicolas Cage was in. I love that movie. It's genuinely heartbreaking. If you haven't seen it, I do suggest watching both KAOS and Pig. Pig a little bit more, because Pig is great. Pig came out in 2021. Now, it had Nicolas Cage in it, so of course I heard about it and I knew it was coming out. But it still took me 3 years to watch it, because there is so much to see. And looking at it now, I don't know how anyone can keep up. This is my dream world. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to make my work. I want to be a filmmaker. And seems like each year we are becoming closer and closer to the fact that we are no longer in need of filmmakers, and we need again, content meals. It doesn't matter unless it's the newest rendition of a Star Wars show. You know what I mean? They tend to soak up a lot of the news and a lot of the fans and a lot of watch time. And that genuinely frustrates me. I've always said I was born in the wrong generation, but this generation is definitely not for me. And that's not the only problem that it brings. It brings another problem. When KAOS is only known through the fact that it was cancelled, it actually shows you a lot of what I like to call dark future. Because there are other shows that were cancelled in their prime, but since they were more mainstream, the cancellation carried a lot of weight, so people rallied behind the shows. People wanted those shows to come back. Firefly is a perfect example of that. And when they wanted that to come back, they actually gave another chance to those creators, to those writers, to those actors to come back and finish the story. Whether or not that finished story is good or not is another thing, but I'm saying there is something. And now these shows come and go with such a pace that, honestly, if someone tells me, yeah, my most recent credit is on a show called The Neanderthals, and it was on Netflix from July to August of 2023, I would be like, oh, good. Was it any good? I don't know. And because of that, that creator probably won't have another chance. This is the one and only chance. I'm glad KAOS exists. I'm glad that one season, despite ending on a cliffhanger for what is to come, was a good season. It had a lot of good characterizations, and it was leading to something. And I'm glad it exists. I'm glad I live in a world where I can see KAOS and say, oh, it exists. I'm not being sarcastic or anything. I am genuinely glad about that. But I'm also saddened and a little bit angry about the fact that this is probably the only chance this show has gotten, and this creative team. I don't know how I can cope with that, you know? It feels more like each year we are losing a little bit of what made movies and movie making its own art form. I'm not talking about AI. Fuck AI. I'm not even gonna touch that. But just business practices of the greediest of these fuckers, the least artistic assholes out there who sadly hold the checkbooks. We all know about Batgirl just being removed for tax purposes. We all know, each of us, I think, for me it's KAOS, but I'm sure everyone listening to this has a show in mind that didn't get the reception it deserved and then was unceremoniously cancelled, also because the fact that it was never really fucking advertised because the company didn't really have any faith in it. I am a little bit mad. More than a little bit. I am very mad. This is not the world I want. This is not the movie, quote unquote, industry that I want to work in. I was watching spaghetti westerns, and spaghetti westerns are a curious breed. They are technically B movies, but at the same time, they're these magnificent works of art. And I think to myself, each year we are getting less and less of those movies. The last one I remember is probably The Fitzroy. And that came out in, God knows it, 2015. And with none of them, we just see less of these great minds that we could have seen. You know? These great creatives who look at Greek mythology in a new way, who look at world in a new way, who look at genre in a new way. And that's why I when I look at the cinema history, I see a lot of movements. You know, New Hollywood, the famous ones, spaghetti westerns, Hammer horror films, Universal horror films. If we're going earlier, if we're going forward, the slasher era in the 80s. Then you have the sci-fi boom. And I'm noticing as we're moving closer, the last big one I remember is the found footage craze, which came out in the 90s and early noughts. Then I don't remember any massive amount of superhero movies, which from their conceptions were incredibly industrialized to a breathtakingly disgusting degree. I'm not saying they aren't good movies. They are. I love Logan, for example. I did watch Deadpool and Wolverine and I laughed with it. I'm okay with those movies existing, but the fact is, those are all that exist now. It's getting smaller and smaller every day. No more B movies, really. No more low budget prestige stuff other than movies that are literally made from like 15 different companies coming together, each of them putting a little bit of money and each of them looking for all of the profit. This is This is just sad. It's like I'm seeing the thing I love slowly disintegrate in front of my eyes. And I say again, there is a lot of personal anxiety there too because I want to work, but there is no way for me to work there. I can't start by making a bunch of short movies and then hope I get a bigger budget movie and then a bigger budget movie and then a bigger budget movie. But if I want to make the movie that I dream of making, which probably won't happen because it's probably too expensive, but at the same time, not a recognizable IP, so not a lot of investment behind it. It really makes me feel weird. I'm not as hopeless as I sound because with all of the things I said, everything everywhere all at once was pretty successful. So, movies that I want to make are still out there gaining an audience. And I know they do have an audience because these movies still have an audience. Pig still does have an audience. KAOS, though didn't get the numbers that Netflix wanted, still has its own audience. I'm sure you give it enough time, it would bloom into something. But first, you have to tell people that it fucking exists. Netflix cannot advertise everything on its platform because it's too much and they're a content mill. The same way, I don't know, Watch Mojo doesn't advertise their videos because they're just making one every day. It doesn't matter if this one fails, the next one will probably succeed. That approach to art is depressing. I hate living in this business world. I live living in late stage capitalism where we have to fight for the chance to tell a story. I'm unsure of my future. I want to be a filmmaker. I don't know if I ever will. To be honest, I suck at even being a YouTuber or a podcaster for that matter. So probably not gonna have a lot of chance at being a filmmaker, but at the same time, I do want to acknowledge it's not just me getting smaller, it's the world. The entryways are slowly closing, and pretty soon the end game is that since the way they treat writers, the way they treat creatives, they basically close the doors to the point that there is only a handful of them making focus group approved project written by AI. Whoever has the best prompt. Jesus. The amount of people who right now make semi acceptable TV and movie projects, and almost all of them came up in the 90s or started their work in the 90s. And again, yeah, it's 2024. Like 24-year-olds probably aren't gonna get to helm a video movie very much, but there isn't an entryway either. I'm 27 years old. I don't see how I can break into the industry. With writing, they're fucking up writers as we speak. With directing, how? I'm gonna make a couple of short movies, then probably will be given a movie. Probably won't sell as much as the studio wants. I wouldn't get another chance. I just want to end with this. First of all, like, comment, subscribe, all of that. I'm not doing the call to action, but Beetlejuice came out recently. Tim Burton's second movie was Batman. They took a chance on him, a chance that nobody will get now. I'm just sad. and we'll see you all next week.